rich history of this place owes much to its geographical location. Located in the borderlands, the gateway from the Carpathian mountains to the lowland plains, on the navigable Sand River, which of course created great trade opportunities. And that is why this town, Przemyśl, grew up. I'm standing here in the market square in Przemyśl at the beginning of our journey, a journey through history which takes us from the end of the Roman Empire to the end of the Second World War, a rich history of people, of buildings, of institutions. Join me on Poland Daily History as we see Przemyśl above ground and below ground. We're here on the roof of the clock tower in the center of Przemyśl, from which we have a marvelous view. We can see over into the Ukraine, we can see the beginning of the Carpathians, we can see some of the buildings we've visited earlier. But I'd like to start by asking you, Karol, can you tell us a bit about the history of the tower?
Of course, the history of the tower is very interesting. I think it would be interesting for anyone who would visit the city of Przemyśl. Generally, the city of Przemyśl was a very multicultural city. There were Catholics here, but also Greek Catholics, Orthodox and Jews. The tower itself was originally planned to be constructed as the bell tower for the new Orthodox Church. The church was to be located around 10 to 15 meters from where we are. It was constructed between 1775 and 1777, so the fourth quarter of the 18th century. In the end, the church was never built, but the tower remained and is today serving the citizens of Przemyśl as a museum. But before it happened, and before it was transformed into probably the only museum of this type, not only in Poland but in all of Europe, it served for 123 years as a guard tower for the fire brigade, which was stationed here in Przemyśl on Jagiellońska Street. It's worth mentioning, when we are talking about the firefighters, that the fire brigade has been operating in Przemyśl for more than 150 years, so it also has its rich history. After the Second World War, the bell tower served the city as, for example, a broadcasting tower and later as a youth shelter. It may be hard to imagine this, given the building's floor layout, but it was really like this. Only since the year 1983, and we are talking about the 20th century, the tower became the property of the National Museum of the Przemyśl land, and on September 15, 2001, it became the aforementioned museum. The tower itself is quite the challenge for tourists who want to go to the observation deck, since there are those 198 steps to take, especially the first few are quite uncomfortable. There are 8 floors, out of which 7 are in use, with mainly the exhibitions showcasing bells and tobacco pipes. However, when we finally reach that 38th meter, there is a great view of the city's landscape, with, for instance, the overlooking Carmelite Church. The Carmelite Church was founded by Marcin Krasicki. Who was Marcin Krasicki? A great figure connected with the city of Przemyśl, especially in the 17th century, among other things responsible for the reconstruction of the Kazimierzowski Castle and the Carmelite Church, and that's why the church has a crypt devoted to Marcin Krasicki.
We just heard the bells, which is fantastic. So the tower, the clock tower, is just striking the hour there, and now some more bells in the background. And that's an interesting point I'd just like to explore with you, if I may, Carol. One of the functions, as you mentioned, of this tower today is that it serves as a bell museum, which is quite an unusual museum to have. And I understand that in Przemyśl traditionally has been a centre of bell manufacturing. And I was wondering why bells were manufactured in this particular town.
Yes, it is true, but the tradition of bells connected with the Felczyńscy family, with Jan Felczyński in particular, comes from the town of Kałuż in today's Ukraine. The foundry was built in 1808, but in Przemyśl, the foundry at the Krasiński Street was constructed just before the outbreak of the Second World War, and these traditions remained until today. There is also a second foundry of Janusz Felczyński in the city of Ostrów, and a third one in Taciszowo near Gliwice. Of course, we are still talking here about the family of Felczyńscy, but a distant line. As an interesting anecdote, I shall add that one of the first big projects of the family was the construction of the bell for the Lublin Cathedral. Unfortunately, such a big project was interrupted by the war, as the 6.5-ton bell was confiscated by the Germans. It is unknown what happened to it later. The next big project was for the sanctuary in Licheń, an 11.6-ton bell Józef, and the last huge construction, which began last year and finished this year, was the 55-ton bell made with the help of the Krakow metallurgists, which will be sent to a basilica in Brazil, so it will soon be sent on a ship across the ocean. The Felczyńscy family is indeed very connected to the Przemyśl area and its traditions, so it was used for the promotion of the city of Przemyśl.
And also, while we're here, the other collection in this tower is the collection of historic pipes. And again, I was wondering why in Przemyśl you'd have a collection of pipes. Is there a tradition of pipe making in the town?
The first pipe shop was established in Przemyśl around the year 1870, but the biggest pipe-making boom came during the times of Wincenty Swoboda. He was a Czech who came here in the beginning of the 20th century and began developing his craftsmanship. He taught here his own apprentices, who would later become masters of this art upon passing the master's exam. After passing such an exam, they could go on to teach their own students, etc. One of the most famous students of Wincenty Swoboda was, for instance, Ludwik Wallat, who created pipes known across the entire Europe for their quality, the so-called Wallatówki. To honor this pipe-making tradition, Przemyśl holds an annual pipe holiday, which gathers pipe makers and pipe smokers from all over Poland and also from different parts of Europe. There are approximately 8 big pipe factories in Poland, and they're apparently all located in Przemyśl. It's a tradition worth cultivating.
And the collections here, this is actually part of it's a branch of the Przemysl National Regional Museum, I think.
Mainly yes, but we also have 19th century pipes from Vienna. The most valuable ones are made from sepiolite, or the so-called sea foam, which can be characterized as a rock mineral. It's mostly found in hotter climates, for instance near Spain.
Dosyć te cieplejsze tutaj tereny. Natomiast też są na przykład fajki, tak zwane fajki rezerwisty.
There are also the so-called reservists pipes, so pipes given to soldiers who ended their service and were sent to reserves in the Austrian kingdom, where every soldier finishing his service was supposed to get such a pipe. How was it in reality? At first it was actually in practice, but we know that in time not every soldier got such a gift from the authorities.
And then, probably you may know, how many different pipes do you have in the collection?
Mamy fajki, właśnie wspomniane sepiolitowe, mamy fajki wykonane z wrzośca.
We have the aforementioned sepiolite pipes, also ones made from heath, which is a very hard type of wood, from which tobacco tastes best, from pear and cherry wood, porcelain, even corn, which can be smoked from, and also from clay, which were made during the siege of the Przemyśl fortress. I heard there were also pipes made from ivory, but because of the harsher regulations, it is no longer used for pipe production.
Produkcji fajek, jednak ze względu na zaostrzone przepisy tego już teraz się po prostu nie praktykuje.